Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is pumping into new all-time record highs, about to hit this exact bullish price target, as we're now seeing a lot of liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin, pointing towards another short squeeze, potentially about to happen very soon, as we still have a possible warning signal to pay attention to, continuing to form in the short-term Bitcoin price charts. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about my exact trading strategy, sharing with you how I'm planning to make a lot of easy and quick profits coming very soon with this next Bitcoin move, while the price of Ethereum is now on its way towards testing all-time record highs, while the price of Solana is still flashing a possible short-term warning signal. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, over the last one day, we've just seen the latest weekly candle close officially confirmed, which now officially just confirms the highest weekly candle close on record for the price of Bitcoin, above all of these previous highs in the weekly candle closes, which obviously now confirms a higher high in the weekly candle closes, and of course now at least temporarily invalidates this bearish divergence. So in other words, this bearish divergence has already played out now for the last few months, last couple of months, since basically around July, August, all the way through basically all of August, all of September, pretty much for the most part, we're seeing a lack in bullish momentum, cooling off a little bit, which is the most common outcome from a bearish divergence. But now this bearish divergence is effectively over, but we also still need to be aware that while the price of Bitcoin is invalidating this bearish divergence, of course, we are forming a higher high in the price, but the weekly Bitcoin RSI is still currently sitting in lower highs, which means if we don't go much higher, maybe if we just go a little bit higher and then start stalling a little bit, there's the possibility we could form another bearish divergence at some point later on. So keep that in mind, but for now, overall still looking more bullish than bearish, especially in terms of the larger bull market here. And of course, on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, as I've already been saying over the last few days, we recently confirmed a bullish crossover in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD, indicating an increase in bullish momentum. So obviously for quite some time here, as I've been saying for most of this time right here over the last few weeks, for around a month now, we've been lacking momentum really to either direction, not a lot of bearish or a lot of bullish momentum, kind of just basically looking relatively neutral, bouncing around relatively sideways. But we're now at that stage in the market where of course we're breaking into all-time highs, picking up bullish momentum, and looking at the last couple of times, we saw something similar in terms of this bullish crossover in the MACD indicator on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart. We'd usually see at least a little bit more, but sometimes a lot more bullish price action still to come. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin, as of recording this video, is basically at all-time record highs. We're right now sitting new all-time highs and about to hit my exact price target for this breakout right here, for this W pattern or double bottom pattern, alongside of course the hidden bullish divergence that is also actively playing out, as I've been saying every day since much lower prices. And of course the technical price target for this breakout above this line at around 117k, 118k, the technical price target for this breakout is still sitting at around 126k to 127k. So in that area is basically the area I've been targeting since pretty much around 117 to 118k. I said from that point onwards, it's extremely likely we're going to hit new all-time highs, and obviously we have now done that as I predicted, down at these much lower levels. And in terms of what could happen moving forward, of course we can see the occasional short-term cool off and things like that, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But overall, in terms of the larger movement that we're in, we're clearly in a larger bullish move, picking up bullish momentum in this MACD indicator, invalidating, at least for now, the bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, still clearly in a larger bull market, just hitting new all-time highs. So obviously this is all pointing in one direction, and we also have to consider the fact that we are now entering into October. We're still in the early stages of October, and as I've been saying since before we hit October, as I said basically in late September, October is historically the most bullish month for Bitcoin. Not financial advice, past performance does not guarantee future returns, but basically for looking at all of this information, looking at Bitcoin's history, it's usually around this time of the year, October, November, we usually see some of the biggest gains for Bitcoin and crypto. And so once again, we're at the seasonality where we are usually most bullish for Bitcoin and crypto, now breaking all-time highs, and of course picking up bullish momentum. All of this is simply pointing in one direction, but as always, we can see the occasional short-term pullback, short-term cool-off. Of course, it's not going to be just a straight line towards the upside. So if, for example, we see a bearish divergence or a slight little pullback, do not be fooled. Do not be trapped by a little bit of a pullback in the price. Obviously, a lot of people might just panic sell their Bitcoin, or especially short Bitcoin. Can be very dangerous right now to be shorting Bitcoin on any of these pullbacks right here, simply because, of course, we have a short squeeze going on alongside the fact that we have a lot of bullish momentum picking up as well. And we're also in historically one of the most bullish times during the year. And now if we're talking about this bearish divergence, which did technically confirm roughly a day ago, a bit over 1 day ago, obviously we're now at least temporarily invalidating this bearish divergence. Like I said, on the weekly time frame, we've clearly just formed a new higher high in the 4-hour candle closes here on the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart. But with that being said, if we're looking at the RSI, at least as of recording this video, we're still currently forming lower highs. Now, with that being said, we've not yet confirmed that new lower high in place in the RSI, which essentially means we now would have to reconfirm this bearish divergence, effectively confirm a new bearish divergence, which is still possibly forming right now, but not yet confirmed. And so just be aware of this potential bearish divergence still currently forming, simply extending the bearish divergence potentially to another lower high in the RSI and another higher high in the price at some stage later on. But once again, as I always say, these bearish divergences are not always trend reversal signals. Sometimes they just cause slight little pullbacks, little cool-offs in the immediate short term before ultimately continuing with the bullish trend later on. And so even if this does further confirm here again with this new lower high in the RSI, of course, once again, expect just a slight little pullback, maybe in the immediate short term, a slight little cool-off, but overall, things are still looking very bullish. If we're looking at the daily time frame, if we're looking at the 3-day time frame, the weekly time frame, all pointing in the bullish direction, looking very bullish in terms of the price structure and, of course, the momentum in the market. All I'm simply saying is, of course, don't expect a straight line towards the upside. It's very normal to see little pullbacks and things like this along the way. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, obviously, like I talked about in my last video just yesterday, we could see that we still have a lot of liquidity building to the downside at roughly 121,000. But with that being said, obviously, we still have a lot of bullish momentum, a lot of demand pushing the price higher. And just now, over the last few hours, in less than 1 day, basically, we've now started to build more liquidity above the price of Bitcoin at roughly around 126,000 and just above 126,000. So really in between 126K to 126.4K approximately, we have now a lot of liquidity starting to build right here, just above the price. And so it's extremely likely that we're going to see another little short squeeze here. Obviously, as I said, since all the way back down here, you can even check my videos around a week ago. I said all the way back down here, we have a major short squeeze on our hands. A lot of people are entering into short positions for whatever reason. Maybe they're following the wrong YouTube channel. But of course, here on this YouTube channel, I've been talking about longing Bitcoin from 110K onwards. And this is the proof. The numbers do not lie. Obviously, this is my Bitcoin long position, entry price 110K. And I shared this on this channel when the price was still at around 110K, 111K. And so effectively what we have here is a giant short squeeze. A lot of traders still entering in shorts. Obviously, the funding rates right here, the neutral rate, in case you're new to all of this, is 0.01%. So if it's below 0.01%, as it is right now over on Bitfinex at least, that means that basically the market, at least the futures market, is a little heavier on the shorts. Essentially, there's currently a higher demand to short Bitcoin than to long Bitcoin. And so in other words, people are still second guessing this pump. Despite the size of the pump, people are still thinking that we are not bullish. Obviously, we have a lot of buying demand right here, but a lot of this buy volume is also short positions getting wiped out, because when a short position gets liquidated or when a short position closes, they are forced to buy into Bitcoin in order to effectively close that position, pushing the price higher, liquidating more short positions. But for those of us on the bullish side of things in a long position or just holding Bitcoin, of course, this is great news, because the traders out there that are getting destroyed on short positions are continuing to open new short positions, effectively effectively adding more and more rocket fuel to this pump. And so that is the current situation. And of course, I'm still currently long on Bitcoin. But with that being said, I've taken a small amount of profits over the last one day, just very, very slightly reducing the size of the trade. In my last video, it was roughly a $34,000 trade, give or take. Now it's about a $30,000 trade. Started out as about a $200,000 trade. So obviously, as time goes on, I do secure a little bit more profits here and there off the table, but not closing the entire trade. Still overall long on Bitcoin. And of course, I also still have a lot of spot Bitcoin holdings as well. And also over the last one day, I've just moved this stop loss a little bit further into profits so that even in the worst case scenario, I've already secured profits and that stop loss would automatically close the trade at that level if we just crashed for whatever reason. And so right now, I've currently realized about 9,600 USD in realized already secured profits, almost $10,000 in profits, and about over 4,000 USD in unrealized profits still to go, which obviously if we continue pumping here, that unrealized profits will continue to grow. And so basically the strategy is to leave the upside potential open, considering right now I'm still very much bullish on Bitcoin. Yes, we could see the occasional short-term pullback, a short-term warning signal, but overall still bullish, overall still long. I'm just simply protecting some downside risk in case the worst case scenario happens. Sometimes, of course, we just crash for whatever reason. I'm not expecting that, but in that case, obviously I've already taken some profits as well. So basically that's my trading strategy, sharing with you how I'm planning to make profits from the coming Bitcoin move, which is likely going to be a continued all-time high breakout with the occasional little cool off here and there, kind of like what we've already been seeing over the last 1 week. And if you also want to take trades just like this for yourself to make a lot of quick and easy profits in the crypto market, like what I'm doing right now with my own money, making roughly 14,000 USD in 1 week of just this small quick trade here. Of course, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on Bitfinex. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT out of a prize pool here just by trading crypto using that link. And there's also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit just $100, you get a $20 bonus. If you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your Bitfinex account. Basically free money from the exchange to use to trade over on Bitfinex just by making an account, making a deposit, starting to trade over on Bitfinex, but only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim massive bonuses. For example, up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stablecoins just by making an account using that link and depositing and trading. And on top of that, without making any deposits or any trades, you can get a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP3 upgrade. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit. But all of this right here is only available if you're using that link below this video to actually make your 2bit account. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance on the 3-day time frame, and right now we're technically still playing out that shorter term bullish divergence, as I've been saying every day for roughly 2 to 3 weeks now, especially over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, I've been saying expect just a slight bullish relief as a very likely scenario for the Bitcoin dominance in the coming days or weeks. And obviously, that's been playing out exactly as predicted, and I continue to expect this at least in the coming days. Moving forward here in the short term, we're likely going to see a little bit more of a slight bullish relief moving forward, which means a lot of altcoins, not every altcoin, some altcoins can be outliers, but a lot of altcoins will either be performing quite similar to Bitcoin, performing very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing, or potentially underperforming Bitcoin just slightly. And so basically what I'm saying is, at least in the short term, over the coming days, maybe over the next couple of weeks, don't really expect a massive altcoin season. Now, at some stage in the future, we'll likely see some altcoin season at some stage, but basically don't expect that at any point in the next few days or weeks is a very likely scenario. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now the price of ETH is basically following Bitcoin, with Bitcoin already breaking out into new all-time highs. It's leading the market and Ethereum is playing catch up. Right now, we are potentially about to test all-time highs and quite possibly see a new all-time high for Ethereum. That is what I'm calling right now. Obviously, we're getting very close to this area of resistance, sitting in between around 4.8k to 4.9k. The current all-time high is just above 4.9k, just under 5,000. And so just don't be surprised if very soon in the coming hours or days, we continue higher towards the all-time high at 4.8k, 4.9k, somewhere around here. And then obviously we could still find some resistance around this area. As we saw these last 3 times here, we have seen 3 major rejections from around this area on the price chart. So just keep that in mind as well. But overall, especially if Bitcoin continues this major bullish move, continues a short squeeze, that's really going to help the rest of the altcoin market, especially Ethereum and other large altcoins like this, with more bullish price action in the short term. So basically expect a test of all-time highs very soon for Ethereum, quite possibly new all-time highs very soon for Ethereum. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 8-hour Ethereum price chart, as of recording this video, we're getting very close to breaking out above this area of resistance in the short term, in between around 46.80 to 47.20. And we're also starting to break out as well in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI above this line of resistance, and also potentially breaking out above the previous highs in the RSI, which is very good news because that means we're potentially about to create a new higher high in the RSI alongside higher highs in the price, which means the RSI and the price are not divergence. We don't have a bearish divergence if we start to see a bit more of a breakout above the previous highs in the RSI. And really the next major resistance towards the upside is based on this, basically the all-time high. If we're looking at the candle closes, the all-time high is at give or take 4,800 to 4,900. But once again, the exact all-time high, at least on this chart right here, the Binance chart, is sitting at approximately 4,950 to 4,960. And of course, if we're measuring from the current price as of recording this video to that actual all-time high, that's only a 5% move away, which obviously just over the last day or so, we've seen a 5% move. So once again, any day now, any hour now, we could be at all-time highs, or at least testing all-time highs. Once again, it's still possible. Could find a bit of resistance around all-time highs, but ultimately expect either a test or a break of all-time highs very, very soon, considering what Bitcoin is doing, obviously breaking into all-time highs. That's really going to help a lot of the altcoin market as well. But remember, if the Bitcoin dominance is also experiencing this slight bullish relief, it means a lot of altcoins will kind of just be lagging behind Bitcoin, like what we've seen for Ethereum. Obviously, Bitcoin has already hit all-time highs. Ethereum, not yet. It could be soon, but not yet. It's still kind of lagging behind Bitcoin. So at least for now, Bitcoin is leading the market. So really pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 2-day time frame, right now Solana is also potentially about to test these highs right here, as we're now breaking out well above around $230 and heading up towards this next resistance at roughly 250 to 260. So keep that in mind. Expect some resistance around there. But if we break out above that area, could find a little bit more resistance at roughly 270. But honestly, if we break out above all of this area just here, expect a move closer towards 300, around 290 to 300 as the next major price target to pay attention to. And clearly the longer term trend or the larger price structure still very much bullish, as I've been saying the entire time. Obviously, we continue to hold above this exact support, which means we maintained the bullish trend, forming higher lows and higher highs. So things are still looking very good here in terms of the larger price structure. And of course, in the short term on the 4-hour Solana price chart, we're still seeing higher highs in the price while the RSI is still forming lower highs. So keep that in mind. We still have a bearish divergence forming, but we're potentially getting very close now to seeing both a breakout in the price above the previous highs and potentially a breakout in the RSI as well above the previous high here, which if that happens, especially in the RSI, that would invalidate the bearish divergence. And remember, as I always say, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins. So if Bitcoin continues this major short squeeze and breakout into new all-time highs, expect obviously something similar, or at least some bullish price action for a lot of altcoins if Bitcoin is performing like that. And if we're taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, we're now starting to get closer towards invalidating this bearish divergence as the RSI is finally starting to tick upwards a little bit in the weekly time frame here. But with that being said, we've not yet technically invalidated the larger bearish divergence on the weekly XRP price chart. So like I warned about back at $3.40 months ago now on the channel back in July, you can even watch watched my videos back then a couple of months ago, I said we have a massive bearish divergence. So for the next couple of months throughout July, August, likely into September, expect a larger cool off, potentially a larger pullback of some sort. Obviously, we did see exactly that as I predicted months ago. But of course, once again, we cannot just look at XRP all by itself. We have to consider what the rest of the market is doing as well, especially what Bitcoin is doing. And once again, Bitcoin on this weekly time frame has now at least temporarily invalidated this bearish divergence and obviously breaking into all-time highs, which means that has now increased the probability that we're going to invalidate this bearish divergence for XRP. So effectively, no longer rely too heavily on this bearish divergence. It already played out as predicted very nicely here for a couple of months, which was ultimately the prediction I made a couple of months ago. But right now I'm saying don't rely too heavily on this bearish divergence any longer. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, we're still in this same sideways price range between a crucial area of support and this major area of resistance. First of all, this area of support is still sitting in between $2.70 to $2.80, and this area of resistance is still sitting in between around $3.10 to $3.15. And above this area, we also have this area of resistance in between around $3.30 to $3.35. So obviously, considering what Bitcoin and the other altcoins are doing, expect a test at the very least of this resistance very soon for XRP, once again in between 310 to 315. Now it's possible we could struggle a little bit more around that area, considering we recently struggled at that exact area, rejected from that exact area just a few days ago. But ultimately, if we confirm a breakout with at least a daily candle close, ideally above 315 and holding above that area, once again in that situation, expect a move towards 330 to 335 as the next price target, the next point of resistance to watch out for. And as for support, expect some short-term support at roughly 293 to 294, which is pretty much exactly where we bounced from to the nearest cent, as I've been saying since before that perfect exact bounce. And also we have a possible W pattern or double bottom pattern here for the price of XRP, which if we confirm this breakout above ideally 315 with at least a daily candle close confirming above that level, in that situation that will set up a bullish price target at approximately 355, which is pretty much this exact high based on the daily candle closes. So ultimately, it's very likely we could head up towards roughly 350, 360, close towards all-time highs, if the price first actually confirms a breakout now above 310 to 315 with at least a daily candle close above that area and holding above that area. And remember, if Bitcoin is breaking into all-time highs, that increases the probability that we're going to see more bullish price action for a lot of altcoins like XRP and of course like Chainlink. If we're taking a look at the daily Chainlink price chart, with Bitcoin seeing another bullish move towards all-time highs, Chainlink is also following Bitcoin with another short-term bullish move here. And so ultimately, we're clearly now breaking out above $22 to $23, which is some good news in the short term for Chainlink, and we could likely continue up towards now about $25, roughly $25, give or take, slightly underneath and slightly above $25. We have a lot of resistance, a lot of previous rejections from around that area on the price chart. So that's really the next major price target to pay attention to. And we also potentially have a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern on our hands, possibly forming, not yet confirmed, not yet even completed the formation phase, but something to watch out for in case we actually reject from roughly $25, come back down. Obviously, that could possibly just form a larger bullish price pattern in that case. But right now, in terms of support to watch out for in case we see another little pullback or whatever, expect some support at roughly $22 and just above $22. And of course, a lot of support in between $19 to $20, which is exactly where we bounced from at the lows here, as I've been saying since before we perfectly bounced from that exact area of support. And once again, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of these altcoins here. Really, a lot of these altcoins are just following the same price action as Bitcoin is doing, just lagging behind Bitcoin, especially with that Bitcoin dominance having a slight bullish relief. It means Bitcoin is currently leading the market. And of course, if you want to take any of these trades in the price of any crypto, like what I'm doing right now with my own money on this crypto exchange, then check out the exchanges using the links below the video to get set up, ready to go using those links. If you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links, and if you want to actually know how you can take trades just like this for yourself to make a lot of very quick and easy profits in crypto, like what I'm doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.